Good morning and welcome to the Safety Mile with Jack and Kyle.
Kyle?
I'm Jack. Glad to see you guys. Kyle, what are you going to talk about today?
This week I'm going to talk about FMCSA's plans to broaden the crash preventability determination program, and I'll get more into that a little bit later.
Good stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the slide rails on the trailer. Breakdown had reached out to me and said they were running into some slide rail issues and wanted me to kind of cover that. So we'll talk about that. So let's get into the anniversaries first because Kyle's got a lot of birthdays.
We got 2 weeks to do. Sorry for missing last week, but we're going to nail them this week.
All right. Start off with our anniversaries. That'll be Frank Pimentel, Jennifer Jellins, Shandell Curry, John Valkeny. Is that right? Vanakin. I messed it up. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Or did you mess it up and I get it right?
No, maybe you got it right.
Okay, we'll see. All right, Danny Bailey, Joshua Wooten, Lewis McKee. Let's see, Frederick Cato, Molly Maddox. Of course, she's in the office now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's working weekends in the office.
Happy birthday, Molly. Or happy anniversary, Molly. My bad.
Christopher Roberts, Robert Lewis, Maurice Roxbury. I'm not going to do the head nod thing. Okay, I did anyway. Miranda Bernard and Kevin Rogers Jr. Guys, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you for your support and your tenure here. We really appreciate that.
All right, guys, got a bunch of birthdays this week. Happy birthday to everybody out there that's working out there and driving. Really appreciate all your hard work. We've got, first up, Donald Hartnett, Joel Lance Holbrook, Tamara Smith, Sean Carwile, Anthony Dorsey, Lynetta Terry, Mark Valcine, Dita Bumgardner, Yvette Thomas, Timmy Jones, Craig Conley, Minsu Kim, Walter Berenger, Stephen Harlow, Fausto Osuna, Joshua May, Leon Doherty, Tony Thacker, Danny Bailey, Alan Roach, Philip Scantling, Russell Price, Ronald Thomas, Thabani Bufalezi, Lyndon Johnson, Fortino Sanchez Lira, Todd Fisher, and Jay Santos. Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday, guys. Is that the same Lyndon Johnson that's president?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, wow. Back from the dead. Driving for JCT.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get into it. Kyle, tell us a little bit about what's the topic today.
Yeah, guys, so this last week, the FMCSA has released that they're going to have plans to broaden the crash preventability determination program. And so what that program does, it allows us to essentially challenge the preventability of accidents in which drivers are involved. And what I mean by preventability is accidents that are unpreventable or non-preventable on our side, meaning on the driver's side. So as far as what that kind of entails, there are 16 current crash types that are involved in that list. Things like accidents with drivers that are distracted, having health issues, or maybe are under the influence of something, or accidents where the truck is struck in the rear or at the side of the rear. And so that is kind of like a loose determination, not a lot of... those are cut and dry sort of situations. Another type is also a driver coming down like the opposite direction and hitting you head on in the wrong lane. So it's those kinds of things in which we can, submit a claim to remove preventability from our side or liability on our side. However, that has been brought in to introduce 4 additional crash types to the preventability program. I'm just going to read them right here. Number 1 is a CMV was struck on the side by a motorist operating in the same direction. So currently the crash type is limited to side strikes at the rear, meaning like at the 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock kind of range. Whereas now it's going to be actually right by the truck. Like if a driver swerves into your lane, hits you on the side, it's something that we could potentially challenge to remove any liability from you. So that's a really big jump there because that happens quite often.
Yeah, we see a lot of those lane change issues where drivers merge over into the fender of a truck or something of that nature. We're seeing a lot of those.
Absolutely. So that's a great start to what we got here. Number 2 would be a CMV was struck because another motorist was entering the roadway from a private driveway or parking lot. So, like maybe they're eking out into traffic after, coming out of a parking lot or their driveway. And, that happens as well. It's a good move by the FMCSA because, of course, that's not going to be your fault out there on the road.
Yeah, a lot of those drivers that are encroaching into traffic like that, some of them are dealing with limited visibility issues
right.
that create those issues, and it's kind of tough to make that our fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 3. So we got CMV was struck because another motorist lost control of the vehicle. FMCSA reviewed many PARs that included this information, but were ineligible for the program under the current crash types. So that's kind of a loose determination right there. Was because another motorist lost control of their vehicle. But looseness is all right because it kind of gives us like the ability to like challenge wide variety of things. So the fact that this says lost control of their vehicle could mean many different things. In which case, again, we have a lot of ground to cover there as far as submitting a claim to remove preventability.
That's awesome. That's a lot of points that can be removed from a driver.
Oh yeah,
and as well the company.
This is huge. I mean, especially considering just how more important our CSA scores are going to be going down the line. These are things that like are going to help us quite a bit. Number 4, any other type of crash involving a CMV where a video demonstrates the sequence of events of the crash. This is a big one. I think it might be the biggest of the 4 there. Meaning, like, if we're capturing something on camera that's able to determine that it wasn't your fault, we can, in fact, say, hey, this wasn't our fault. We got the footage to prove it. Check the tapes. And what I want to say about that as well is, like, this is why those camera systems are important and are going to continue to be more and more important as we go down the line.
I would not drive a truck nowadays without a dash cam.
It's going to save you. It's going to, like, not even just like your life, but I just mean specifically millions of dollars worth of damage. Considering just how frequent lawsuits happen against truck companies and truckers, it's something that we definitely want to continue to do. I do want to make sure that I just let you guys know as well that it is our responsibility. We all know we got a big old target on our backs when it comes to accidents out there. If you see all those commercials all the time, late night at like 3 a.m., they're like, have you been in an accident with a truck? And
have you been in an accident with a large commercial motor vehicle? Call me, I'm the hammer.
Exactly.
I'll get you the money you deserve.
Exactly. That kind of thing. They're looking for us, and like they're trying to get as much money as they can from us. And it's great to have that crash preventability determination program broadened so we can better defend you guys. So it's all good news.
Well, and that goes right back to, remember I was speaking on the all into zero, the safe 6 driving technique. Got to make sure I say that slow. Safe 6 driving techniques that we've went over the last several weeks. And we want to make sure as drivers that we are driving in that protective type manner. I know we've always spoke on defensive driving, being a defensive driver. But really, we're in a big truck. What do we have to be defensive about? If a car does hit us, there's a good chance maybe it's might bust my fender or knock out my headlight, but it may not stop me from traveling on today. I may be able to get down the road. It may not render my vehicle unoperational.
Yeah.
So, that being said, how defensive do we have to be? We need to change our mindset and drive in a fashion where we're driving in a protective manner, where we're driving in a manner which protects those people around us, which in turn also protects ourselves. It's like, once again, like walking through a room full of toddlers. Mm-hmm. You walk through a room full of toddlers, or unless they gang up. I guess they could be plotting together and take you out. But
3 toddlers in a trench coat.
There you go.
Yeah.
They could wipe you out, but basically when you're walking through like a daycare or something, you're walking through in a protective manner, trying to push the kids back so you don't step on them or knock them down or anything like that. We need to kind of drive in that same mindset out there on the road to be more of a protective style driver, of course being more professional. One other thing, guys, I've had several guys speaking to me about other drivers out there on the road. I want to challenge you guys. This is a brotherhood here at JCT Hirschbach. I am actually wearing a Hirschbach shirt today. So if that offends some of you JCT drivers, I'm sorry. I got my JCT hat on. We're all the same company now. It's all a brotherhood. We're moving forward. But I want to challenge you guys as drivers to acknowledge your other driver out there on the road. Acknowledge the other JCT truck. Acknowledge the Hirschbach truck. Throw them away. Throw up the deuces. Flash the headlights. Acknowledge them. Let them know you see them. Wave back and forth. And trust me, it'll make a much better day out there. Especially if you guys talk a little bit. Some of the guys were complaining about a lot of the drivers aren't real friendly out on the road. They don't want to talk to each other. I want to challenge you guys out there to change that behavior and be more conversational with your other drivers out there. Be a little more respectful and professional. Okay, what I'm going to talk about this week is the slide rails on the trailers. It is a very good idea, guys, to have some sort of spray lubricant on your truck, such as WD-40. I'd want something a little more lubricating than that, but WD will work. You know, some sort of a penetrating oil. That the slide pins, once again, all of our trailers are air slide with the trailer aired up to approximately 100 pounds of pressure in the tanks, in the air tanks in the trailer. You set the brakes of the trailer, you pull the pin, then your slide pins should pop in, all 4 of them. It is a good idea when those pins pop in to take some penetrating oil of some sort and spray in those holes, lubricate those pins so they pop out and they reapply correctly. It's also a good idea to maybe, if you're sliding the tandems of that trailer back and forth, adjusting your weights, maybe spray the slide rails as well just a little bit so it slides just a little bit freer. So maybe we're not dragging the tires or dragging the bogie quite so much. Then when you do reapply the pins, make sure all 4 pins reapply. Make sure they do reapply. You don't want to go bouncing down the road with a pin that has not reapplied. On my truck, I used to carry a great big thick screwdriver, and I'd stick in there because sometimes it does get hung up in there because of the road grit, salt and sand from being on the road.
Yeah.
A little dirt and debris gets around that pin and it kind of gets hung up. I take my screwdriver and tap on the end of the pin. The little grit falls out and boom, it pops back out. So that's a good idea to have something along those lines that you can tap on a little bit so it'll reapply. But the spray lubricant, hitting them once they pop in, spraying them a little bit, that will help break down the sand. They're having a lot of issues with some of that, especially coming out of the winter. And
how often do you check those? Would you just like every day, or?
Well, you want to make sure your pins are always applied. Anytime you slide your tandems, then and you pull the button and the pins pop in so you can slide. When you pop them back out, you want to make sure that's when you want to verify that all 4 of them are in place.
Gotcha.
You don't want to be going down the road with one of them not applied or none of them applied, because I've seen them shoot up right out from under the trailer. That's a scary sight. Yeah, and then the trailer sitting in the middle of the road with no wheels under it.
My goodness.
Yeah, now that's quite the sight. Seen it happen a few times. It's pretty exciting. You just don't want it to be any of you guys. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it for us this week. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate Adam. And we're going to...
Yeah, Adam, Shelby, of course.
Shelby.
Working on our stuff as well. Once again, guys, remember, we strengthen our communities by providing safe, reliable, innovative solutions to our communities.
And our vision, of course, is becoming North America's most trusted transportation solutions provider. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week.
Peace out, guys. Be safe.